So I may be counting my shattered gem pieces before they're reassembled here, but as of the time of this recording, the fall 2017 anime Hoseki no Kuni, otherwise known as Land of the Lustrous, is not only the best anime of this season, but easily one of the most inventive and engaging series of the entire year. It's the perfect shimmering balance of pacing, the best looking serialized CG animation, and some of the most profound ever reaching highs I've seen in my seasonal watchings in quite some time. Studio Orange should be proud of the work they've clearly put into bringing Haruko Ichikawa's manga to life. If I were to say what was lacking in most 3D animated series, it would not be the visual quality, but instead the vision and direction. Land of the Lustrous, however, knows exactly where it wants to go and how it's going to get there. It knows how each character should be designed and move to instantly separate one from the others in a diverse cast of multicolored genderless gem-based individuals. It's not a CG series that's trying to be an anime, it's a show trying to be more than the sum of its assembled parts. A CG anime that takes this form of animation to a brilliant and creative new level and makes even the most diehard traditional fans of Japanese animation do a double take at what Studio Orange is able to accomplish when Lustrous truly shines. We have entered the digital age. We use our blip blops to flabble our dibbles while making sure we don't hexacode our cellophane cables. With great advancement in technology comes new and exciting ways to evolve any given medium, whether it be color in film, digital sampling in music, and somehow the most divisible of the bunch, computer-generated graphics in Japanese cartoons. Sure, the animation industry has favored digital drawing over the traditional cells and hand-drawn animation for years now, and CG has been used to a plentiful degree to help cut corners and save budget on more complex models such as moving vehicles, background characters, and so on, but it only recently seems that we are getting completely CG series, and no, I'm not talking about ones like these. The ones that stand out for the most part are very traditional anime. They sound like anime, they feel like anime, and they are paced, like you guessed it, anime. Nice guess. But CG animation doesn't really feel or look like anime, does it? There's always that uncanny feeling that something just doesn't seem right. Characters don't move like they used to. Still shots have this weird perspective issue of the characters sticking out from the background to a far greater extent. Some movements feel too fluid while others feel like simple gestures, feel kind of stilted and awkward. It's almost like the cutscene in your average video game, but minus the whole gameplay thing. So with that all said, how would you even go about making a good CG series? Easy. Just make a good show first. Land of the Lustrous takes place in a nearly barren land inhabited by anthropomorphized jewels and gems who operate under the guidance and supervision of what appears to be a human-like monk named Master Kongou. Genderless yet closely resembling young, thin, pale-skinned girls because Japan... These jewels are delegated various tasks based on their hardness and other distinctive traits. Among them is Phosphophyllite, or Phos for short, by far one of the weaker of her peers, coupled with a knack of getting herself into trouble, drenched in plenty of sass and smugness to make for a pretty sizable reaction folder of images. Unlike the diamonds whose hardness make them excellent at combat, or Rutile, whose vast knowledge and expertise makes for a great doctor, Phos has no role. No use. Phos is voiced by the same VA, Tomoyo Kurosawa, who did Kumiko from Hibike Euphonium, and wow, there is no better pick for one of the most smuggest yet endearing characters this season. It's also nice to see Kurosawa's emotional range, especially in the later half of the series, easily adapting to the change in her character while still leaving remnants of the old behind. She truly deserves more work. The series follows Phos in her attempt to find said purpose, all while combating the mysterious race of Lunarians, those that descend from the heavens above, drawn by the glimmer and value of Phos and the various other gems. Piece by piece, shard by shard, the world and the various stories and mysteries shrouded within it are assembled one by one. While there is a very grandiose, overarching question of who are we, why are we the way we are, and that ever-reaching desire for knowledge and sense of self-worth, the series is is never bogged down by this, and each and every episode always gives at least 2 or 3 characters a chance to shine, whether it be in a beautifully choreographed action scene, a character arc, or even as something as small as a bit of banter allowing you to piece together the various interwoven character relationships, which all allow the anime to take some time to breathe. While the sense of urgency of a Lunarian attack constantly hanging overhead never loses its initial impact on the characters, there are always moments where they're allowed to have fun and for a much needed sense of levity in a series of this nature to be explored a bit. Sure, Land of the Lustrous is at its best when it's moving forward, but that doesn't mean that the occasional detour can't be a way to make these harder moments that come in later episodes to hit that much more when we've seen the characters in lives that affect on a more intimate and vulnerable level. The use of CG in Lustrous, while I have no doubt is a way to save budget because Studio Orange is far from a powerhouse in the industry, is also used in some genuinely creative ways that wouldn't really be possible with traditional 2D. One of my favorite standouts would be the various hairstyles and beautiful colors within. There's a part translucent property to the hair accompanied by light, yet constant and realistic motion and lighting that bleeds out onto the character's shoulders and clothes. Something like Diamond's nearly blinding and dizzying array of complex shades and shimmers of her hair adds so much personality to the character. You know she's bright, brilliant, and captivating not because the anime tells you, but because it takes the time to show you. Speaking of Diamond, I just wanted to share with you a preview of my first AMV that I've been working on, based on about my favorite genderless gem. Please like, comment, subscribe for more Hoseki Kuni videos. Thank you.
Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond.
Also, thanks to the easier to animate and utilize models, we get far more engaging and action-packed fights than a traditional series. One of my favorite things to point out would be the designs of the Lunarians. They eerily, by design, stand out as an otherworldly threat, and their movements and methods for attack, which usually consist of a barrage of arrows, clash greatly with all of the gems using close-range weaponry. The quick movements of the non-existent camera that effortlessly bobs, dollies, and pans around during any given action scene resemble that of a series or even film with a far higher budget and more expansive array of resources, yet thanks to the animation style and many clever cost-saving tricks, they always make these life-threatening encounters just that much more interesting to witness. The physical makeup of the gems being utilized thanks to the CG animation doesn't stop there though, and what is easily one of the most creative stylistic plot points I've ever seen, and yes, to a certain extent, it is very much a gimmick, and that would be none other than the gems cracking, chipping, and literally breaking apart in real time. There is no objective way to go about describing this without simply watching the anime for yourself and having certain characters grow on you, and then watching said character die is one thing, but watching them literally crumble and break apart piece by piece in a surprisingly graphic, although of course bloodless and goreless fashion is heart-wrenching to say the least. Ugh. And of course, watching those who barely make it out of the fray being reassembled piece by piece has a similar impact. Sure, these genderless beings are seemingly immortal, assuming all of their crumbled remains can be gathered and put together properly, but in doing so, and in leaving the occasional shard or fragment behind, loss is never unavoidable, and a broken gem never truly comes back the same. Shifting over to pacing and exposition, I still very much stand by saying it's above excellent. I can, however, shift my footing a little bit in saying that the first few episodes, the first episode especially, are not the most engaging or inviting, especially compared to other series airing this season. You can partly blame this for all of the active and passive world building and explanations that need to be hammered in early on, clog up the works a fair bit, but I feel you can also equate the series to being somewhat of a slow burn. I still, however, feel that the normal 3-episode rule applies here, and if you're not invested, especially after episode 3, then I feel it's safe to say that the series is just not for you, which is okay. One of the standout things of Lustrous has to be how the characters change, not just mentally, but physically as well. While the degree of this change varies from subtle to series changing, each and every physical and mental growth or regression greatly impact and affect an ever-spiraling web of related characters. It's these natural reactions like these that make the world of Lustrous and the cast of the characters that inhabit it feel truly alive. However, if you're at all interested in what you've heard and seen so far, just know that I've barely scratched the surface here. I didn't spoil the drastic snowballing changes that occur from episode 3 onwards, I didn't show you some of the best looking scenes, and I didn't even mention what has to be one of the best episodes of Japanese animation I've seen all year long. if not longer. It's easy to sell someone on a series with pretty images and outlining every detail, spoiler or not, that makes this series good, but it's far harder for you to trust the reviewer on just a promise and a somewhat brief overview. Just know that the true glory and shine of Lustrous goes far beyond the surface level that I've laid out here, and there are far more literal hidden gems within to unearth on your own. In review, Hoseki no Kuni, Land of the Lustrous, is pretty darn great. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I've vastly enjoyed it and am continuing to enjoy it as it wraps up what I hope to be the first of many seasons in the coming weeks. Whether I'm in the honeymoon phase and my high praise and accolades for the series is simply a knee-jerk reaction, or if Lustrous is truly something special that will be remembered in the new year has still yet to be seen. But if my words mean anything to you, just know that my interest in anime comes and goes, and it's not unlikely for me to go months only adding a few odds and ends to my completed list. But watching this series has reignited a passion for these gosh darn silly Japanese cartoons that I've not had in quite some time. And for what that's worth, that is a damn lasting impact if I've ever seen one. Hey, my name's Anigami, and when I'm not trying to pick the best girl out of a cast of genderless rock-hard characters, I make various videos about other anime here on YouTube, so your further support would really be appreciated. Thank you.